By now, most people are familiar with rebounders, also known as mini trampolines, as a form of exercise. They've actually been around since the 1930s, but got crazy popular in the 80s when NASA came out with a study that told all about its benefits. Some of those benefits include cardiovascular health, balance, weight loss of course, bone health, and lymphatic drainage. While they were popular in the 80s, they are definitely still popular today, and I am super excited because up until now, I have never gotten to try one. But in this video, I will be doing 7 days of exercise on a mini trampoline to see if it's really worth it. Hello, lovely humans. In case you're new here, I'm Heather. I am on an adventure to get healthy and fit, and I'm bringing you lovely humans along for the ride. This week, we are testing out a specific mini trampoline, the Ancheer mini trampoline. And I have a few questions that I want to answer. 1, is it any good? 2, who is it designed for? Beginners? Experts? I'm gonna find out. 3, roughly how long is it gonna take to find results? And 4, what kind of workouts are best on this thing? Now, currently I'm pretty active. I go to the gym 3 times a week to weightlift. I walk all the time at work, and I am super duper active outside because it is gardening season. Finally. All that means is that I'm not going to be doing 7 days in a row on the trampoline simply because I want to make sure I have enough time for my body to recover. So there will be 7 days total of working out, but it will be over the course of about a week and a half. I'm really excited to see what on earth this week is going to look like in terms of intensity. Although, best guess, it's probably going to be a wee bit brutal.
That is the understatement of this still very young century.
I also want to say a huge thank you to Ancheer for sending me this thing. I will clarify though, my opinions on this are going to be my own, not theirs. They were just kind enough to send me one. We have a box with a box.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
I guess they're just extra cautious with their shipping. Beto is gonna love playing in that later. Now, I have gotten to try one Ancheer product before, and that was the Underdesk Elliptical. I actually did a review on that, I think it's like a month or 2 ago. And I did, of course, check the reviews on this, and so far, at least on Amazon, they seem very, very promising. So I'm hoping it lives up to the hype. I'm wondering how much assembly I'm going to have to do. Best guess, probably quite a bit. There are a lot of individual parts. A user manual, always important. I'm assuming that this just folds out. Hey! Holy crap. That's definitely tight, but I think that's probably a good thing, so you have a little bit of rebound. For a rebounder.
Normally, I'm a little bit nervous if I order anything that has to be delivered because you never know what kind of condition it's going to come in, but thankfully everything came in perfectly wrapped and cushioned and I had no issues whatsoever.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize this one had resistance for the arms, kind of like that mini stepper that I reviewed a while back. If that is anything like the mini stepper, this is going to kick my butt this week.
Oh, honey, you have no idea.
So according to the manual, it actually recommends that you use 2 people to kind of fold this thing flat. My husband is at work, so I might just try this myself. We have strong women on this channel. We can do things. Except for get off the floor, apparently.
So if you have to fold this out by yourself, make sure to plant your feet evenly on either side and then spread your hands out. You want to go slow and steady and just try to make sure also that you are not stepping on any of the attachments. If you can though, I would highly recommend using 2 people for this simply because it's going to help to make sure that the elastic bands are spaced out appropriately and putting the right amount of tension on the trampoline.
Okay, I think I got it. Beto has found the boxes. Instead of sacrificing your fingers, they give you this little tool to get it on there. So I slid it in on the bottom here, and then I use this little gadget to hook it. Basically use the tool and just brute force to pull it this way and loop it over this little part right here. Then you can take it off. We are gonna go all the way around our trampoline and get all 4 of those loops installed. Sorry, plant.
You do have to pull pretty hard because the bands are tight, but that's good because you want them to last.
Oh my god, I'm like killing all my plants today. I'm so sorry. So we got all 4 of the bands installed. The one thing that I'm not liking right now is, you see, if you look at this, it is not perfectly circular. And it's because with where the bands actually sit, both the hinges and the little metal feet keep the elastic from being like perfectly symmetrical, and I think that's why it looks like there's kind of like more tension on one end as opposed to the other. In terms of longevity of this, I'm a little bit concerned about that, simply because if you have like 3 of these bands being pulled more than the other ones, not only are you going to have not a super even jump, but you're also going to end up with those bands wearing out sooner than the other ones. And truthfully, elastic wears out over time anyways, so if you want to have this product for multiple years, over time you might eventually have to buy replacement bands, but it is at least simple to replace them, even if you do have to use a lot of like finger strength. Okay, and then they want you to pop all these little black things off, and then you're going to put the cover around the outside. So far, the paper instructions are not super clear, but it is fairly easy to figure out as you go. Of this little sleeve that you put across it, there are tiny holes to go over the little legs, and then there are some larger holes, and those are meant to go over the hinges.
Okay, we have all of the little sections covered, and I'm going to go through and just make sure that it is even so you don't have anything get pinched. Turn that grow light out so my head isn't glowing. Then what you're going to do is take all of your little poles and just screw them in on the little screw parts. I know, technical term. And just make sure you don't pinch any of the liner while you're putting it together. Now we need the big poles for the top part of the rebound. So you take these pieces and you match them up with that little sticky outy part on the side, and you slide them on. They fit right into the groove for that, so it's actually kind of perfect. Yes, my baby. Did you need something? Oh. Just like rolling all over the couch. Yes, dear. And the next step is to put the little rubber stoppers on the bottom, which is good because I don't want to scratch my floors.
So at this point of the assembly, I was a little bit worried because I noticed the frame was still rocking back and forth and didn't seem super stable, but I decided to just finish assembling everything and add the arm supports and to save my final judgment for the end.
Slide these on the top part.
They have labeled screws for the height adjustment. So there's little markers that are basically small dents in between, and it's for how far down you need to slide it before putting the screw in. That way you're not just wiggling it up and down for 40 years trying to figure out how the heck to do it.
And then for the bottom right here, you want to make sure you can mount it as well. There's a little hole in the frame so it goes straight through. And they have a specific screw for that part too. And there is one last screw for this bottom part here to make sure that it is steady and the right height. All right, then we just need the pole for the top. There's a hole so you can line it up. Little baby push. There we go. And I purposely left the other side unscrewed so that it was just easier to put together. Ah, there we go. Now I can add the other screws in. Hello there. Installation of the resistance bands is pretty simple. You just find the leg that is behind the big handle. I would probably pop the little rubber stopper off, and then you just loop it over and slide it on.
It wasn't actually as difficult as I think I made it seem. I think I just suck at putting things together, if we're being honest. So I'm not going to fault Ancheer for that. The instructions could have been slightly more clear, but overall they were pretty good. What I am having problems with, however, is
Slightly uneven.
So I did reach out to Ancheer to make sure that I didn't receive a defective product and to see if I had just done something wrong with the assembly. And after a little bit of troubleshooting, we found some answers because I've only seen one other review that had this issue. If you put everything together and you're like, what the heck, this trampoline is uneven. One, make sure that your elastic bands that go around the trampoline are spaced out as evenly as possible. It's not going to be 100% because you have to account for the legs and the hinges, but that will help with the whole spacing of the canvas. That's also why it's so important to fold it out with 2 people because you get a better chance of getting everything even for the tension. 2, make sure that the arm supports are level and properly tightened. You don't want any loose bits. And 3, literally just get on that trampoline and jump up and down. The weight of you jumping literally helps those bands to almost adjust to themselves. I basically spent a collective 7 minutes-ish jumping up and down on it, and it leveled it out perfectly. Thank goodness, so there's no issues. It's just a tension thing, don't worry. Now that we have this thing unboxed, I'm going to show you guys a few ways to make sure that you are safe while you are using your trampoline. Your feet should be flat. You're not bouncing on your toes. That can cause a twisted ankle, and nobody wants that. The second thing is that whenever you are jumping, you should not be locking out your knees. You should have a little baby bend in them. Same thing applies to your hips. Itty bitty bend. You also want to make sure to keep your core tight. All those abdominal muscles are going to be hard at work while you are jumping up and down on this trampoline. If you decide to go for a trampoline that has a bar like this, it is extremely important that you stay behind the bar when you're jumping. I know sometimes it can be tempting to lean heavily on it, and it's okay to put your weight on it, but you don't want to go over it because you can cause your trampoline to be off balance and you're going to end up with a broken nose on the floor. All these things are delightfully fun. This is not the same thing as the giant trampoline you had in your backyard growing up as a kid. You can't do backflips and crazy gymnastics on these or you will get hurt. Save it for normal jumping. Up and down is fine. Your form is also really important. You want to try to push down into the trampoline when you're jumping rather than up to defy gravity. This is something that takes a while to get used to, but if you focus on pushing your feet flat when you're jumping rather than jumping off your toes, it gets much easier.
I'm not sure how much my body will change in just a week of using the trampoline, but I wanted to make sure to have something to compare it to afterwards. As y'all can see, I am most definitely overweight and carry a lot of it in my hips, thighs, and of course my legs because I have lipedema. For a close-up shot of my legs, here are all of the angles, just so we know where it all started. As for my weight, I was 224.6 pounds when starting this challenge.
For the first day of the trampoline workouts, all I'm going to be doing is jumping for as long as I can before I need a rest break, just so I kind of know what my starting point is. I've got my workout clothes, my tennis shoes because I have no desire to twist an ankle, and I'm ready to get to it. I can already tell y'all I'm going to need a better bra. I hope I'm not jumping my head out of the frame. I can tell y'all that if I can even make it to 5 minutes on this thing, it's going to be a miracle.
She did in fact not make it.
My calves are already on fire. I am huffing and puffing. This Ancheer trampoline has officially kicked the mini stepper out of the running for the most brutal home workout so far. Holy crap. I think it's safe to say that this one's definitely going to be a good cardiorespiratory workout. Oh my God, I need to sit down.
The next day was an involuntary rest day because my back decided to throw itself out for no reason, because I'm apparently 95 years old or something. Yay.
We made it to the next day and my back is mostly recovered. I am going to try and take it a little bit easier on the trampoline today, partially because I don't want to make my back any more mad, but also I was dying at the 4-minute mark on day 1. So instead, we are going to try a workout by Earth and Owl that is supposed to be a 5-minute workout, 5 moves, 1 move per minute, and it's supposed to be designed for both beginners and seniors, so hopefully it will not be a super humbling experience. And we still need a better bra. Oh, yeah, that's hard. We're gonna try the modification for the sake of my back.
Okay, that's your modification. The more you move your arms in a workout,
I don't know if I'm coordinated enough to move my arms.
probably the more power we get. Arms, no arms. Take 2 more. We got it up. 3, 4. The reason I call this here.
I'm out of breath, no surprise there. I wouldn't say that the normal workout that she did was beginner friendly, but I do appreciate that she gave modifications. She also focused on safety, so you're not injuring yourself. And she also mentioned something that I think is very important, and it's that this exercise, all of these movements on the rebounder, the trampoline, whatever you want to call it, are beneficial for your lymphatic system because you're using all of those muscles and they work as a pump to get any of that excess fluid back into your system rather than, say, pooling in your extremities. If you get one of these and you find that you are really struggling to just like keep going and not be like, oh, I'm dying, I just need to stop and rest, follow a video on either YouTube or Instagram. There are a ton of mini trampoline workouts on there and it makes a huge difference. Our third exercise is actually created by a physical therapist, which is something I'm a big fan of since I am one as well. And it is called Cancer Rehab PT. She specializes in both oncology and lymphedema and designed this workout in particular to people who have lymphedema. In terms of reducing the swelling, a lot of what works for lymphedema will also help me. Each exercise is 45 seconds and this one is 10 minutes long. I like that she gives a recovery time in between each exercise for 15 seconds. I'm already feeling the burn. So I haven't really mastered lifting my body up enough to be able to actually change directions very well. Maybe it's just because I'm heavy, but I'm not very light on my feet. So far, I'm liking that a lot of these can be done without having to lift your feet off the trampoline, but you still get the bouncing. I know I'm coordinated enough to march on a trampoline. She makes this look much more graceful. Okay, I can't even do jumping jacks on the ground. Jumping jacks are not for me. I am not at the point yet where I even need to use the resistance bands that come with this thing, but I like that it's something I could build up to. More coordination that I don't have. That 10 minutes went by really quickly. I was actually questioning if I survived 10 minutes, but I did. This one is the best so far at incorporating not only your upper body, but a little bit of your core as well, but specifically coordination with balance. I am still having trouble with pushing my feet down bouncing as opposed to jumping up, but so far this one has been the most comprehensive workout. I do feel like it was fairly appropriate for beginner level, with the exception of the jumping jack ones. I just can never get that right. After scouring YouTube with limited results, I finally found a 35-minute workout that actually uses resistance bands. Well, hello dear. Although I fully do not believe that I would make it through 35 minutes. It's by Michelle Breiler.
I have no idea.
Michelle's video was definitely a challenge. Those exercises got really hard really freaking quickly. Oh my gosh.
Why is there always jumping jacks?
In terms of strength, I'd put most of the exercises at intermediate level. There was just a lot of them. It was the cardiovascular part that was kicking my freaking butt. So I had to skip ahead to find the arm exercises with the bands before I passed out.
Keeping a strong core during this is super important. And hard.
I was dying earlier today, and then I died. Now I'm dead.
So far, we have done all sorts of jumping around, easy, intermediate, although they all felt hard to me. And now it is time to try an ab workout. I found a Pilates-style ab workout by a creator named Renee Lynn, so we will see if my abs can survive 5 minutes. Whee! Okay, so far this is fun. This was a really bad idea to do after lunch.
Y'all ever feel like you're doing a workout, you're going hard, and you probably look like a badass because you're working so hard?
It's too hot.
But then you see yourself doing the workout and you're like, oh dear lord. That was pretty much me editing this entire clip.
Use the bar to modify.
If you plan to focus on ab workouts and you want to get a rebounder, definitely get one with a rail like this because oh my gosh, it made a world of difference. And then some of the workout got a little bit weird. Here's what I was supposed to be doing. And here is my wish.com version.
I can't even get up like this. Okay, here we go. This looks questionable at best.
Well, I can never unsee that.
All those were super fun, and some of those were really questionable. I feel like I got some of an ab workout. My neck is really sore because I think my abs are so weak, my neck was like trying to compensate. Definitely not a beginner level. That one is like intermediate plus. I also noticed something kind of cool today. As I was sitting on the couch, I was like looking at my leg, and I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like it's a little bit slimmer. So either a little bit of lymphatic drainage thanks to all of the different trampoline workouts, or maybe we got a smidge of toning going on. I'm still enjoying the small changes.
For the last few days of this challenge, I changed it up a little bit. Instead of just trying to go as long as I can or following a specific video, I did something that I did when I did my mini stepper challenge, and that was to get on it multiple times a day for short spurts with any free moment I could get. It really took the pressure off, and it was really fun.
Boy, baby, you want to jump on the trampoline with me?
Beto had already thoroughly enjoyed stomping all over my trampoline this week, but this was where I discovered that she actually really likes it if we just gently bounce her up and down on it. She's an odd cat and likes to be jostled. I actually enjoyed jumping up and down on this trampoline so much this week that I accidentally did a bonus day without even realizing it.
I finally figured it out! Of course, it's day freaking 7 that I finally figure it out. If you are having issues jumping enough to actually like change the position of your feet or your direction, yes, dear. You might need to try it barefoot. It's so much easier. I love having shoes on for stability, but it does make sense that your feet are a lot lighter without them, and you can switch your direction so much easier. Mystery solved!
In terms of my before and after measurements, I think my angle was slightly off, my apologies, but I do feel like my stomach looks ever so slightly slimmer and toned. I also didn't realize until this moment that my shorts most definitely did not fit right because one of the legs is shorter than the other. In terms of my legs, I don't feel like there was a drastic difference, but I do feel like my calves were just a smidge more toned. I don't know. What do you guys think? I started at 224.6, got down to 221.4 pounds, losing a total of 3.2 pounds.
So we've gotten through all of our testing for this Ancheer trampoline, and if you guys recall from the beginning of the video, I promised you the answers to some questions. The first question was, is it worth it? And I have to say, honestly, yes. I love this thing. Hands down, trampoline workouts have now surpassed the mini stepper as being my absolute all-time favorite. In terms of pricing, there are a few different Ancheer models. I'm gonna make sure to list every single one of them in the description box below so you can kind of compare for what works best for you. The majority of them range from $95 to $139.99, and they are pretty good about having sales regularly. One of the things I also really like about this trampoline is that it has a weight limit of 300 pounds, and when it comes to equipment that's usually sold on Amazon, anything over 250 is really hard to find, so I gotta say that is a huge point in their credit. They also have a slightly larger one for sale that's a little bit sturdier if you are either doing like crazy expert level rebounder workouts, or if you have a higher weight and need something more adapted. That one I believe goes up to 550 pounds. They will all be linked, I promise. I genuinely love this thing though. This has been one of the funnest weeks that I have spent in a long time, even though it thoroughly kicked my butt. Speaking of which, the second question was, who is this designed for? Anyone, whether they are beginner or expert level of fitness, can find a way to get a good workout on this thing. If you are a beginner level, what I would recommend when starting off is not necessarily so much in the way of jumping, more in the way of stepping back and forth with the weight shifts, because you still get a little bounce in there. And as you get more steady on your feet and stronger, then transition into doing more of the workouts with the actual jumps. As you get into expert level, you do the longer videos with a lot of different workouts, and of course you can do a much better job of doing that down bounce where you're getting off your feet with all sorts of crazy movements. In terms of how long until you see results, I always add that part in there because I feel like some people do not have realistic expectations. I tried it for a week because that gave me a long enough time to figure out if I can actually get a good workout on this thing or not, which obviously was a yes. But in terms of seeing results, it takes about 4 weeks for your body to actually start building muscle, and it takes time. So you're not going to be magically buff overnight, but it does help as you build up on it to burn more calories and overall increase your endurance. And I think that's also a huge selling point for this machine, because while a lot of the other at-home stuff is fun and a challenge, I think in terms of your cardio respiratory fitness, which is definitely one that people need to focus on, this is hands down the best workout I've gotten in that regard. The last question was, what workouts are best for it? If you are trying to address something really specific, kind of in the sense almost of doing therapy and trying to work on your coordination and balance, I would definitely check out the Cancer Rehab PT. I think in terms of really specializing your form and just having lots of different options for workouts, I think Earth and Owl hands down was my favorite. I'll also link all of those workouts below so y'all can check them out for yourself. In terms of just the last tidbits to address, I would say every few workouts, especially if you you go really, really hard on this thing, make sure you're checking the screws on the handles just to kind of do a little maintenance and make sure they stay nice and tight. The issue I had initially with it rocking back and forth, I had no issues after that first day jumping up and down on it. It made everything much more level in terms of the tension of the bands. I had no issues whatsoever with any bands breaking or popping off, and that's always my concern when I see bungees. So I'm really glad to know that they did a good job in constructing it. So one of the selling points of this particular model is that it's foldable. That is why it was a little bit harder to space those bungee cords out 100% evenly, but there is a trade-off for convenience. They wanted to make sure that they have an option of trampoline where if someone has, say, a smaller area that they can't have it out all the time, they have the option to fold it back up and put it away. It will get a little tedious in the sense of, to do so, you have to take off the arm supports and the legs, but I love that they at least kept that in mind, that not everyone has space for a trampoline all the time. If you don't want to deal with the folding option, they have tons of others. After using this thing for 8 days, I also didn't notice any sag. It definitely kept the tension like you want it to do, so I'm glad to say that I think in terms of quality, they did a really good job. I also found a really unexpected benefit this week with this trampoline, and it's that it calms down my brain. I have ADHD. It is really hard for me to focus sometimes. I feel like my brain is being pulled in 67 different directions, which makes it really hard to accomplish anything because I'm pulled everywhere. But when I jumped on this trampoline, even if it was just a few minutes, I feel like I almost got like a nervous system reset where I could actually be calm and focus on the things that I needed to do afterwards. It got to the point where if I was feeling really anxious before bed, I would literally just go and jump for 2 minutes, and it just kind of got all that anxiety out of my system and let me calm down enough to sleep. So added perk that I didn't know existed. If you guys enjoyed this video, of course, make sure to leave a like down below. If there are any questions I didn't answer or you just want to know more, please feel free to leave a comment for me and I'll be more than happy to get you some answers. And if there is a specific type of machine that you want me to try out next, let me know as well, because I love doing these challenges. They are so much fun and they also help me to get in better shape, so it's a win-win. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and I will see you lovely humans next time. Bye bye!